All right.
Good morning. It's Magnus here again. I am at Ignite doing interviews with all kinds of very interesting people, and I have hit all the way over to Azure Networking. I'm here with JR and Narayan, and we are going to talk about several of the features of networking. Like every time I talk to networking, every time there's a presentation, there are so many new things in networking. It is absolutely incredible. So let's just run down a bunch of features and talk about them, and have fun with that. I like networking. Hi, Narayan. How you doing?
Good, Magnus. Yeah, we're very happy. Like you said, a lot of features, a lot of announcements.
And that's true. That's true. And so you're just gonna talk about several of them, and let's just okay, cool.
I'm going to talk about a few of them to make it easy. I'm going to talk about availability, right, and connectivity and security, and what we are doing in each of these. So, number one, we have a brand new offering for load balancers. It's called Load Balancer Standard SKU. Yeah, and it's actually a high-scale, highly available solution. So, the current load balancers in Azure, you can do like 100 backend machines. And this can do up to 1,000. So it's 10x scale increase.
Was that in the keynote? No.
I don't know.
I
don't think it was, but
so it's a 10x.
10x.
It's 10x.
It's a 10x scale.
Yeah.
Also, do you hear about the availability zones announcement last week?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did hear about it.
So this load balancer actually can load balance backends across different availability zones. So the load balancer has a single IP address, single DNS name that sits on top of backends that can be in different availability zones. And so you're highly available even if a zone goes down or a couple goes down. You don't get to change your LB or your IP address, and this still work. And this load balancer can actually go across these availability zones. That's the good part about it.
Yeah, cool.
And it also has like an inbuilt metrics, so you can see the health of the load balancer, the backends, and it's a pretty good offering together.
Okay, let's be more specific about the the availability zone, because I know that a lot of people, like if I'm a dev kind of a person, now I happen to know just a little bit what you're talking about, but I know it's a challenge for people. Explain briefly what is specifically an availability zone.
Yeah, good question. So availability zone is basically its own independent building with its own power, with its own networking gear. And in a region, you have several of these. And the customers can now choose to deploy for high availability and DR purposes their workloads in different of these availability zones. And they have a front end that is common or is highly available. It goes across these availability zones. And that's what the load balancer gives you.
Okay. So and obviously the customer doesn't know like this is availability zone number 1 or number 2. They're saying a number. I want this across several zones, and then Azure will place it out so that it adheres to the customer specification.
That is correct. So the customer picks a logical zone.
Yeah.
So I want it in zone 1, 2, and 3, and Azure will map that into physical zones and deploy them across different zones.
Sounds cool. That's exactly the coolness, I think, with Azure, or one of many cool things, is that you don't know exactly it's on that server right over there in the corner. No. It's like a big building, lots of servers, lots of racks. Right. You'll take care of placing things, but there's a specification that the customer is setting. I want this to be very, very available in different zones, and should a disaster strike one zone, when is that ever going to happen? But should it do, then I'm going to be available.
Well protected, yeah. Right. And another thing that I want to highlight, which is part of the load balancer standard SKU, is something called HA ports. And this is actually pretty unique with Azure. This provides high availability for network virtual appliances. So these firewall devices that customers love to bring to the cloud.
That's right.
And they deploy them and they use them for inspection of traffic in and out of the internet.
Right.
And
Compliance
exactly.
Or otherwise.
Yeah, they put them on the path to internet generally, and then they look at the packets going in and out of it.
Right.
Now they want these NVAs to be highly available. So
yes, of course, because if they're not there, then no traffic is happening.
That is right. Yeah. So what we're offering with HA ports is you can place these NVAs behind a load balancer, internal load balancer.
Yeah.
and have it configured on all ports, because a firewall device should see traffic coming on every port. It's not specific to a port, it's basically scanning the network traffic.
Okay.
So we put them behind all ports, behind a load balancer, and set routes to go make it go to this next top load balancer address.
Right.
So the VMs can send their packets to this load balancer, which will then give it to one of the NVAs, which will then do its job and will send it out. And so that way, the NVAs are highly available because you're pointing them to a load balancer address, not to a specific VM address, and they can receive traffic on any port.
Wow. Okay.
That's called HA ports, highly available ports, and this is also part of the new load balancer SKU.
And so did before Azure, did people run this in their own enterprise and take care of this thing like themselves? They set this up and ran them themselves.
Right.
And now the difference is that now Microsoft is doing that. So some of the burden of handling this stuff is effectively removed from the IT department, but they still have the thing.
That's right. So this is fully managed service. So which means that you just drop the NVAs here, put them behind a load balancer, and they are automatically managed. They made available, highly available, and it works active or active passive. So yeah, it's a great solution, and you should check it out.
Okay, yeah. Again, with all of these different, it's so many features in networking all the time that somebody like me will certainly scramble to keep up.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But I keep coming back to the fact that I don't have to understand how to do all these things. I have to know about the features, but I'm not caring for them. You guys are caring for them, and that's very, very, very helpful to someone like me. I'm more like an application kind of a person, right? Not so much networking. I need networking, but I'm not a networking expert.
And we try to make it easy to use for anyone, not a networking expert. I mean, that's
so
the
important.
simplicity is the key. And on that note, actually, VNet peering is a solution that we have, which we can link to virtual networks, and they can just talk over private IPs.
Now this I know.
I
have set up VNet peering. I've done it.
Okay.
So you have two VNets, and you set up from the one side. You say the other network is over there, and from the other side you set up that first network is over there. And when both of them are together, they can talk.
Yeah.
And now VNet peering. Let me see if I can steal your thunder. That was now announced that you can go cross data center everything.
Exactly.
Enough,
You know it. So this
so tell us
is
about
global now.
Yes.
So the same VNet peering, the languages is very simple to set up.
Yes,
You
it
point
is.
to a network from here to there and there to here. This can be done across different regions. So which means you can effectively build a global virtual network. So you
Right.
can point a VNet from Australia East all to US East, for example. And they can talk over private IP addresses. That is also unique.
It is unique, and
yeah.
it's really cool because that means that an enterprise can have any networks anywhere. And I know for a fact, of course, I was involved in some work involving to put this on a also on the local network, right?
Yeah.
With a hybrid connection,
Yes.
and maybe an express route,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. Now with the express route into the picture,
Yeah.
you can really build a private network with your on-prem
From on-prem,
and the regions in Azure.
and then anywhere in any
Anywhere in
region
Azure.
around the world.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Exactly. That's very
That's
good.
really cool. Now, so that, and then there's some way to connect, I believe, to the Azure services involved in this.
Yeah, that's my last part,
Yeah.
which is on a security side.
Yeah.
These VMs that you're running on Azure, they always talk to other Azure services like storage, SQL database, but these Azure services are generally exposed to internet.
Yes.
With a public IP
Yes.
address, right?
There's a if you have a storage account, there's a name of the storage account and a key,
Yes.
and anyone with that key
Yes.
can access all your data, all of it.
Yeah, I mean it's okay because it makes it easily available from anywhere, right?
Yes.
So that's the whole point. It's easily reachable. But for some enterprise customers or somebody who is very security concerned or focused, they don't want to have people connect from anywhere.
Public endpoint.
Exactly, but they only want it from their corporate network.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing with the VNet service endpoints. So you can go to these named URLs and public IPs on the account storage account side or SQL account side, and then say, you know what, deny internet. Only allow if the traffic comes from the VNet.
Right.
And that's called VNet service endpoint. So any VNet that is enabled for service endpoint can then be ACLed on the storage side or SQL side to be the only ones to be able to access the data.
Right. So the Azure resource obviously still is in the subscription managed by the company, and with role-based access control, you can make sure that only the right people have actual access to the resource itself. But to connect to the resource used to be the only option used to be that you connect to it's on the internet. It's there. But now it's like, no, there will be no connection from there. We will specify this goes only on the internal network.
That's right. Only on the internal network and only from certain VNets.
And which services have this capability now?
Yeah, good questions. Only two right now: Azure SQL and then Azure Storage.
I want Cosmos.
Cosmos is coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, it's coming, and I'm assuming more, but there's no as of today, it's no specific public timetable for this.
They're coming. They're on the roadmap.
We all know that.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We want all of them, and that's how I usually like give feedback to Microsoft. We only want all of it. Right? It's a simple thing. It's just one thing, right? All of it.
So a lot of these features are on preview and in some regions only. So we'll have service updates. We'll announce more regions soon. But the goal is just to roll it out to all regions and make it available everywhere. But right now they're in limited preview. Preview in limited regions.
Right, but still, it's goodness because Azure has some years, right? And storage was like the first service on the thing, and SQL database was there from the beginning. It's called SQL SQL DB, right? And now it's rolling out to like these fundamental services first. It's going to keep rolling out to more. Okay, great.
And we have a lot more in security. A whole new service, and JR is here to talk about that.
You've been patiently sitting here on the side, seeing us going back and forth. Okay, that's cool. So you're JR, right? And you have more security stuff to talk about.
Absolutely. So we also launched this week it's actually for preview, a service called DDoS Protection, and it's a DDoS protection product for Azure resources.
And so DDoS, okay, let's do this very briefly. What's a DDoS attack? It's one of these dangers that you hear about. DDoS, bad.
Yeah. So essentially, like the genesis of a DDoS attack is large botnets are formed, and the organized crime, usually like crime groups, rent out those resources to attack online sites, and so the basic intent of a DDoS attack is just like to exhaust resources in order to bring the site down. So there's a lot of reasons that people will attack a site, either for extortion or for political reasons, or just silence media. There's
douchebags in general.
Sure, like gaming.
Right. So DDoS is of course a denial of service attack.
Denial of service attack, okay. Absolutely.
So this DDoS protection, how do I enable that for my stuff if I want to be protected from DDoS attacks? I have some critical asset that I want to have online at all times, but maybe there's somebody who doesn't like that, who wants to attack me. How do I set that up for my organization?
Sure. So simplicity was one of our sort of goals with the feature, and so it's super simple to enable. You go into the context of a virtual network, either in PowerShell or the Azure portal, and there's a new subblade within the Azure portal called DDoS Protection, and there's a flag in there. It's just a simple toggle to enable and disable, and so the user doesn't have to do anything. There's no application changes required, no resource changes required. They flip the flag and the feature is on, and that's pretty much all that they have to do.
Okay, so it's great that it is that simple, but since it is simple as that, it makes you feel like, come on, it can't be that hard because I'm just flipping a toggle. It's the simplest thing ever. So how do I know if I have been attacked or if I am under attack? How do I find that out? I'm protected, that's cool, but maybe I'd like to know.
Yeah, so we integrate with Azure Monitor as well, and so we expose either logs or events through Azure Monitor Diagnostics, or we can enable alerting through Azure Monitor Metrics. There's telemetry through the Azure Monitor dashboard under the public IP resource within Azure Monitor. You can see all your attack telemetry, so bits or bytes, packets, forwarded and dropped, so you can see valid traffic that was passed through the virtual network as well as traffic that was dropped because it was identified to be part of a DDoS attack.
Wow, okay, that's Really cool. I love Monitor. Monitor is the best. Now that all the services are kind of coming together with a common scheme for this, it can really start taking advantage of being able to know how your things are doing, and networking, of course, being one of those. Isn't there a that was a while ago, but there's a network watcher, right? That was a while ago, so that I can now watch my networks and see that they're doing all right. I can watch them and see if they're being attacked. They will be attacked. It's just a matter of time. They will be attacked, and Microsoft cares for that and stops attacks. And with no public endpoints, it's all secure because my services will not be specifically targeted from the outside, because they will only be on the inside of my network. And VNet peering, global networks. Oh my gosh, there is so much. It's absolutely bananas. Thank you guys for talking to me today. That was great. And now all of you devs out there, and I guess IT people too, right? But it's the devs who really need help here. And thank you again for talking. It was absolutely great. Thanks.
Thank you.